Hi, welcome back to our Singapore model drawing. Now, today we're going to look at how to make short units out of a comparison model. So the last two lessons, we have talked about how to draw a parcel model and how to draw a comparison model. And we also talk about the important elements. What are the essentials of model drawing? So we are going to revise on the essentials of model drawing because you need to have all these important elements, and then your model will be very clear to understand. So let's look at how we are going to make short units out of a comparison model. Now, there are a total of 246 teachers in a school. There are 78 more male teachers than female teachers. So when you see the word more than, right, there's a more than in this phrase, right? There's a more than. Then what is the model that you must draw? A comparison model when you see more than. And how many female teachers are there? So that's the question. That's what you need to find out. Okay, so now I know that I must draw a comparison model. Then how do I draw? So a comparison model means you have two rectangles at least, and they are of different length. So there are more male teachers. So which means that your male teachers will be longer, right? There's a longer rectangle for the male teachers, and you must have label. One of the important essentials of model drawing is to have clear labels, good labels. And of course, your model must start at the same side. So when you draw your model, you may want to have a dotted line to align the model when you start drawing. And then the female teachers will be shorter rectangle. So let me use the letter F. So F for female teachers. So you will need to label. Okay, you will have to label your model so that it's clear to understand. Otherwise, you find that you have difficulty trying to understand the model. All right, so let me just erase this thing. And okay, and I don't want this. And let me just redraw again. So so you have a rectangle for the male and the females, and the female's rectangle will be shorter, like this, right? And where do you put the total? The total is at the side. So there's an arrow indicator, like your arrow and bow and arrow indicator. And that's important because that tells you from where to where. From where to where represent what. So you can see that the arrow indicator is at the side. So that represents the total, which is 246. All right, and there are 78 more males. So where do you put the 78 more? You put the more than outside the rectangles, and that is your arrow indicator as well. And that's where you put 78 more. All right, and then finally, the question mark, how many female teachers are there? So your question mark will be over here to find the value of the shorter rectangle. And your model is done. So that's how you draw a good model, right? So your model must have labels, must have neat and tidy rectangles, must have every indicator, must have the values, and there's a question mark. So now if you look at your model, you'll be able to understand or you'll be able to use the model to help you to work out the steps. So I want to find the shorter rectangle, the value of the shorter rectangle. So how do I find the value of the shorter rectangle? I have to cut the rectangle, right, to make it shorter, right? Cut the male rectangle to make it shorter. So if I cut here, right, if I cut here, then what will happen? Then this part will be gone, all right? This part will be gone. And I will have two boxes or two rectangles that have the same, okay, that have the same length. So this rectangle here and this rectangle here will be equal, will be the same. So when you cut away the longer parts, which is the male rectangle, you have two rectangles of equal length, and that's how you make short units. Why do I call it short units? Because you cut the rectangle and you have shorter rectangle now. So I call it short units. All right, so what is the value of these two units? So the two units, all right, so after you draw the model, you will need to have your unit statements. So two units will be equal to the total, which is 246, and you minus 78. So when you cut away the longer rectangle, the longer parts, the total becomes smaller. So your two units will be 246 minus 78, and you will get 168, which is two units. And the purpose of model drawing, right? What is the idea? The whole idea of drawing model is to find the value of one unit. So one unit will be 168, and then you divide by 2 to get what is one unit. And you will get 84. And that's the purpose. That's the objective of model drawing. Because once you are able to get the value of one unit, you'll be able to use that to get the answer. So how many female teachers are there? Which is one unit, and that's 84. There are 84 female teachers. So this is how what I mean by making short units. So how do you make short units? you cut the longer part to create shorter boxes, right? And those are called short units. But when do we create short units? We create short units when we want to find the value of the female who is lesser. So when you want to find the value of this box, which is shorter in length, right? Shorter in length, then what do? Then you have to cut it, cut to make short units, right? Cut away the longer part to create shorter units so that you can find the value of the female's rectangle, which is shorter. All right, so that is lesson 3, right? This lesson 3 on how we make short units. Now, in the next lesson, we will talk about how to make longer units, right? So stay tuned for the next lesson.